everyone. It's Laura again, and welcome to our February edition of Jumpstart's Facebook Live. It is great to have you here. Because it's February, we are going to be talking about savings tips and the importance of saving money, and we have a special guest whom I'll introduce in just a moment. I'm wearing my Valentine's Day red today, so happy Valentine's Day to all of you. But it's also red for Chinese New Year, which is coming up later this week. It's a good luck color, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment too, and talk about why that's an important opportunity to talk to our kids about saving. But first, what I wanted to do was welcome our very special guest here today. This is Lindsay Ferguson, who is the Outreach Campaign Manager with America Saves. And because America Saves Week is coming up later this month, we thought it would be a great opportunity to have Lindsay here with us to share some tips that she has for all of us about how to get started saving, how to stay on track saving, and especially, a lot of our viewers are parents and teachers, so especially some of those special tips for young people. But first of all, I just wanted to welcome Lindsay, who is in her Valentine's Day pink today. So welcome to Jumpstart's Facebook Live.
Yes, thank you for having me. And yes, I wore my pink as well,
That's right,
since tomorrow is the Day of Love. But no, we're so grateful to be a part of your Facebook Live. It's wonderful that we could strategically do it during America Saves Week as well, or during the month of America Saves Week. So we're really excited, and this is my first Facebook Live, so I'm excited to have this experience with you guys, and we're excited to share some of our tips and resources with all of you out there who support Jumpstart and support saving.
Well, we've got the best audience for a first-timer because they're just wonderful, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So welcome again to all of you. If you're just joining us, welcome, and especially if you are watching us recorded, because we know a lot of you don't get to see this live, but do view the videos afterwards, after they're posted. So welcome to all of you, and welcome again to Lindsay. I think that, America Saves Week is coming up, of course, and America Saves Week is something for everyone, just as financial literacy, and the financial literacy effort really is something for all consumers. But Jumpstart spends a lot of time focusing on young people. We do have a lot of teachers, as I mentioned, and parents who join our audience. And so maybe where I wanted to start is for your advice, what are some of the tips that you have, especially for helping young people learn how to start saving and stay on track?
Yeah, so at America Saves, we're all about the holistic approach, right? And getting everybody involved when it comes to saving, specifically when you're talking about savings with young adults and young kiddos. So we do have some top tips that I think I would like to share with you guys.
Absolutely.
So one of the biggest one is to set goals. So even as a little youngster, there always should be goals, and I think a great example of ways to do this is that traditional the 3-jar method. Have you seen that? Where you set aside money for spending, for saving, and for donating. So there's some goals there. It makes the youth think about what I need to save for. Maybe it's a birthday gift for a friend, or I want to donate to my Boy Scouts club, or whatever it is. So set that goal, because it's so important that in life we set goals for whatever it is. And if you can start teaching those habits early, that's the better thing. And then we encourage adults or parents to get their kids set up with some type of savings account. So start having that relationship with a financial institution. See what it's like to go to a bank. I know that a lot of people don't do that anymore, and especially a lot of millennials, but there is something exciting about going and setting up your first bank account. Capture that moment. Take photos of it. Embrace it. Put it on social media. Let the kid feel excited about starting this forever habit, hopefully. And be aware that there are a lot of accounts that are specific for youth. I was actually on the phone today with a financial institution who still does the passbook savings. I mean, that is something that was beyond my generation, but I know that's really fun because you have to go into the bank with your book, and then they can tell you when you're making deposits.
And I think that's especially important with kids because we do live in such an electronic world that they don't see cash
Yeah.
as much. And so the trip to the bank or the credit union helps to make it very real and tangible for them.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my first time going with my dad and setting up my savings account, and it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Some other things we like to share is kind of on the lines of setting those goals, is to encourage your child or whomever you're working with that's a youngster to roll with the punches. So if they're saving, and let's say, I know what my first big saving, what I wanted to save for was a pair of roller skates, right? And it took me a long time to get these roller skates.
How old were you?
I think I was like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
But they were pricey roller skates because you had to go to the roller rink every week, and if you didn't have
to look good.
the nice roller skates. But I remember it was a struggle to get there. So I think you need to always encourage your kids. You're doing the right thing. It's going to take you a while, but keep making those $5 deposits or whatever that may be. Or if you have to use those funds for something else other than what you maybe had planned for, let's say a birthday gift or your mom's birthday. You don't want to miss mom's birthday. You need to give her a little something.
Right.
So encourage them to roll with the punches when it comes to saving.
Exactly. Right. And you just get back on. So it's a setback, but don't quit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's really important, and adults can pick up from that too.
Absolutely.
And learn that. And then, of course, we encourage families to talk about saving for education as early as possible, and include the child in those conversations.
Right.
So if you're setting up a 529 account or a college savings fund, tell your child. You can tell them every paycheck I put away money for your education, so that the kid is more invested. And I think that's really important. And then at the end of the day, the child may not appreciate that money as much as they would have if they understood how much their parents sacrificed by putting that away.
It also, I think, it helps to meet the double goal of getting young people interested in furthering their education.
Yes.
And I know that with my own son, he is now aware of the balance in his 529. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but he is aware. But it helps to make college as that goal real to them too.
Yeah, and maybe now when you guys start looking at colleges, he can be more realistic at where he wants to go, what that's going to look like. So that's important. And then just 2 more tips. One is to include technology.
Right.
Again, we talked about posting those pictures of you guys going to the bank together on social media, but there's also tons of apps out there that are really user-friendly. I know there's financial education games out there that talk about saving. So there's technology is a really good thing to have because kids love technology, and there's great things out there for that.
Right, and that's their world now more than ever, and so this is something that makes the savings relatable to them.
Yeah.
Where we may have thought a little bit more about going into the bank branch. Kids today, I think, apps are second nature, so that is what makes it exciting and real for them.
Yeah, and there's so many out there that make savings really easy and kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then I think my last tip and most important one is to make savings fun, right? And make it a family affair. So I was mentioning earlier that there is the Cooperative Extension, which hopefully a lot of you watching are very familiar with them. They have a great game called the Bean Game, which you can use with the family as a whole. And basically what that is, it's talking about budgeting and saving, but it's a game that you can sit around the table and have everybody play with. So there's ways to make savings fun by including the conversation at the grocery store, maybe cost comparing the name brand versus generic. So there's a lot of ways to make it fun, but I think that's most important, so it's not so daunting, because we know money isn't the hottest topic out there.
Well, I think one of the things, Lindsay, though, that's important about what you were talking about is, the game playing. Oftentimes we hear from parents and other family members that they don't feel like they're the financial expert.
Yeah.
But even if you're not a financial expert yourself, or you don't feel that comfortable teaching your kids about savings, we can all play games with our kids. And so you can help expose them to some of these concepts even without necessarily leading the way yourself. And so I think that's a really great tip for some of the parents who want to do this, but maybe they're not feeling as sure about themselves.
Yeah, and you should always be sure about your own money, so so that's a great way to do it too, and just kind of make it so not so stressful.
And that actually brings us to another question I have for you and that is that, one of the most important things that adults can do is set a good example.
Yes.
And so, you talked about talking with your kids and helping them. But most of our audience is made up of adults. And so what other tips do you have for adults and their own savings? And by doing that, then they also lead the way for their kids.
Yeah. So some of them pretty much mirror and echo what I was saying about the kids. First and foremost is make a plan. Right? We know that you're 2 times more likely to be successful if you make a plan and write it down. That's the same with dieting, with whatever you think of. So if there is a savings goal, or you just want to maybe put a little bit aside for an emergency, write it down.
Right, exactly.
Write it down and make it realistic. Use those good old SMART rules that you learned about in school. And then set those timelines. How long do you want to accomplish this goal? How much do you want to put aside every month or every week, whatever that looks like? And be realistic and, again, roll with the punches.
Right.
Know that sometimes you may have to withdraw that savings because you have a flat tire, or like me, my microwave went out. Like, those are things you're going to have to pay for, but having that little savings cushion makes that a lot easier and less stressful.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really important piece of advice for all of us, is that, you do have a goal and a timeline, but sometimes life happens, we get knocked off of our path. Don't give up at that point. Get back on. You might not get there quite as fast, but you will get there. And I think that that it's really something that kind of seems basic, but we all could use that reminder.
Yeah, and we all forget, right? We all forget that you got to start small, and it's the small steps that lead to wealth, which is one of our taglines. So yeah, that's one of the biggest tips. And then another tip is just make it automatic. Make it something a no-brainer. So if you do get direct deposit from your employees, split that direct deposit so it's going into multiple accounts. Before money even comes to my checking account, I think it goes to 3 different accounts. So you don't even know it's gone. That's something that's really helpful. And track your spending is something that's always important when it comes to saving. Because you need to know where there's areas that you could be saving more.
Exactly. Right, and that's a really good tip. It's like found money.
Yeah.
If you can economize someplace, then that's more money that can go to savings. I just want to pause a moment and welcome anyone who's just joining us, and apologize if the audience could hear the beeping. We, I think, had a truck that decided it wanted to chime in on the savings discussion, and it sounded like it was in favor. So I think that's an excellent thing.
It was giving us a thumbs up.
Absolutely, an audible thumbs up. So we apologize for that and hope you were still able to hear what Lindsay was saying, because I think she's had some really, really great advice. Anything else you wanted to share with our audience of things that they should really be thinking about in terms of savings?
Well, I didn't know if this would be a great opportunity to talk about Valentine's Day.
Oh, absolutely.
And ways that you can save for Valentine's Day. So we just did a great blog on this, so I figured I would share it with you all since it is tomorrow. But we have some really fun tips for saving at Valentine's Day. Do you want to hear?
Absolutely, and also we'll put a link to your tips. You said it's a blog?
Yep.
Okay, and why don't you share them, and Heather can attach a link so that anyone who's watching later can find what you wrote.
Great. So the first one is give the gift of time. So instead of going out and doing something or planning some huge romantic gesture, sometimes just being in the same room with your significant other is a showcase of your love, and it costs $0. So you could sit at home, you could watch something on television, you could do a project together.
So I was chuckling, not at your advice. I think that's great advice. When you said time, I was thinking time off. Obviously, I've been married for a while, and I was thinking the gift of time was, we'll see you later.
That's great too, though. Hey, whatever works.
So, yes, such a romantic Valentine's tip. But anyways, that is excellent. And I think it's the sort of thing that, we've become a spending culture.
Yes.
And there's so many nice things that we can do to show love.
Yeah.
That don't involve money.
Exactly. Like I read, you could, on our blog we talk about creating a scrapbook together, archiving some of those memories that you just have laying around. Buy your candy and flowers, shocker, the day after. Valentine's Day.
That's right.
I mean, we all know what happens when you go into CVS on Thursday.
Right.
Those $6.99 chocolates go to $3.99. So that's something great, and I'm sure your significant other would not mind you guys saving a little bit of money. Go out to dinner on a different night. You know, a lot of those specials that they have, you know, the dinner for twos, most of the time they're not that economical, and you can end up getting the same thing for a lot cheaper. Right. So feel free to do it on a different night, and I think your significant other would appreciate, again, saving a few pennies.
Yeah, and that could kind of become, you know, your thing. It's a shared experience. It's a shared commitment.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, too, instead of going to dinner, make dinner in. You know, there's plenty of great recipes you can find online for super cheap. This is a great time to be creative. And it also could fall into that spend time together category. Make dinner together and make it fun. Make it a budget. Say we want to make dinner for the both of us for under $20 or whatever that may be. You can get a lot for that. And then lastly is get creative. You know, make your own gifts and find different ways to celebrate your love versus having to spend money and kind of embrace that. Try not to be a little bit more materialistic and just enjoy saving that money.
Yeah, and I think that that's great advice for kids in celebrating Valentine's Day, in giving homemade Valentine's cards. And I know once when my son was very little, when he was in elementary school, a bunch of us got together and we had a Valentine making party.
Cute.
So all the kids, it was a party. And then we did homemade Valentines instead of buying them. And so it was like two celebrations. And so there's just, those are wonderful ways of saving money that also, I think, works for whole families, too.
Yeah, and then you're having that conversation about saving money. I mean, you could hit a lot of buckets with that one. That's awesome.
Well, that is excellent and so timely for today. If you're watching this today, maybe you'll be watching this later and actually on Valentine's Day and can take the advice of celebrating the day after, because I actually like that a lot, and I think that a lot of families, if everyone's in on it, it can be a really fun commitment to make together.
It could be a new tradition, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, these have been so great and so timely, and I think the other one then that I wanted to share is some of you saw that we posted something about Chinese New Year's, which is coming up later this week. And if you're not familiar with the tradition, Chinese New Year's, kids especially, people, but especially kids, get little red envelopes filled with money. And anytime your kids are getting a monetary gift, it's a great opportunity to talk about what to do with it. And as Lindsay talked about, you know, the 3 jars or the 3 containers or 3 compartments for saving and for spending and for donating, that's a really good discussion to have with something like money that you might be getting for Chinese New Year. So if you don't celebrate that, maybe you want to borrow that tradition as an opportunity to have some fun and also have an important money discussion.
Right.
I've also said to parents on occasion, whether it's something like this or whether it is you know, allowance or birthday money or whatever you might be giving, is to break up your gift into single dollars as opposed to a 5 or a 10, because that lets kids then apportion that money, some for now, some for later, and maybe some for sharing with somebody else.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
So so these are all, we hope you will have that opportunity, whether you celebrate Chinese New Year's or Valentine's Day, or whether you're just doing allowance. There's lots of opportunities to talk about money with your family and, as you mentioned, with your significant others, because this is all really, really important for adults as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I think where I'd like to maybe start wrapping up is with America Saves Week. And so, of course, the reason we are talking about savings today with this Facebook Live is that America Saves Week is coming up, and it is, what is it? It is February 26th through March 3rd. I had to look at my paper, which I'm sure you know. So tell us, what would you like everyone to remember about America Saves Week coming up?
Yeah, so America Saves Week is the perfect opportunity, talking about a new year, to assess your current savings status. So even if you're a savings pro and this is something you do all the time, maybe it's the time to tweak it and add $5 more extra to those savings accounts. Or it's a time where you just really have not been able to be successful in saving. It's the time to sit down and really take advantage of this opportunity to assess your savings. So we have ways that you can participate as a practitioner or provider of services, or as a saver as your own, on your own. So every day of the week, during America Saves Week, we have a different theme, and I think what you guys would love to be a part of the most is our theme on Saturday, March 3rd, which is Save as a Family. So if you go to americasaves.org, you'll see we have tons of resources that you can use to have the conversation about saving with your family. We've got calculators, toolkits, anything you can think of, some graphics. So use that Saturday, March 3rd, to have a conversation with your family about savings. Maybe that's your trip to the local bank and get people set up with their savings accounts. But during the week is a great time to do that. And then throughout the rest of the week, Monday through Friday, we have other great themes you can participate in, like Save with a Plan, Make Savings Automatic, Save to Retire, Save the Extra. So there's hopefully a touch point for you to talk about savings, if not every day during the week, but at least one day during that week.
Sure, and I think that's what's important about America Saves Week. It is that focus for all of us, because we all know that we should do it, but sometimes we, in our busy lives, we don't stop and really focus and really make those stretch goals. And so America Saves Week gives us the opportunity, and I think it's something that we all can do, and it's easy to participate. And so I'm sure that Heather has put the links to americasavesweek.org right down below in some of the comments, and they can find all of the information and resources.
Yeah, and we have some great opportunities as well to engage online. So if you are, during the week, we'll have some webinars across the country that you can kind of tune into to get more savings tips if you like some of the ones I shared earlier. And then we also have our annual I'm Saving For sweepstakes. So this is a really fun way, talk about involving the family. This is a really fun way to get your family involved, because not only as a part of the sweepstakes to enter, you have to make a commitment to saving by taking the America Saves Pledge, but you also are encouraged to snap a photo of yourself or your family with something holding up saying what you're saving for, and then sharing that through social media. So again, use those opportunities when you're talking about savings to capture it, one, and make a memory, and then two, to share with others and make it fun.
Because that makes you accountable, because you're sharing it, but it's a fun way of doing it.
Yeah, oh, and I forgot to mention, the I'm Saving For sweepstakes is a sweepstakes, so there is cash prizes to win at the end of this as well. So prizes up to $750, just for simply setting a savings goal and sharing it.
That's right. And if you win, don't forget to save some of it.
Oh, that too. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Lindsay. This has been so much fun, and your tips have been absolutely wonderful. I hope you all have enjoyed the tips from Lindsay and from America Saves. Don't forget to join us next month on March 13th, and we will be talking about consumer protection. Also, while you're on our Facebook page, we hope you'll swing over to Jumpstart's website, because Financial Literacy Month will be coming up in April. And so don't forget to visit our website and check out what's coming up in April. So thank you all very much. Happy Valentine's Day, and Happy America Saves Week.
Thank you.